Not fit for purpose. Yes, that's how the Home Office was described actually many years ago. I wonder whether it's actually getting worse in some ways. I mean, we have a particular case here of 275 visas being given out to a completely non-existent care home. Another example, over 1,000 work certificates given out to a company that actually previously only had 4 employees, and the list goes on and on and on. And of course, all of this being debated after the former boss of Borders and Immigration and the Inspector David Neal resigned, and he's kind of blowing everything up and explaining to us what's going wrong. I'm joined in the studio by Paul Turner, immigration lawyer, regular on this programme. Paul, I just can't, we know the Channel Crossings problem. We've debated that many, many times. But the fact that we're giving out work visas to fraudulent claims to non-existent companies, I mean, this is also a form of illegal immigration, isn't it?
It certainly is, Nigel, and you couldn't really make it up. I think the problem is, in part, that the Home Office are interested in taking the money off the people applying, but there's only 50 people in compliance. And to make it worse, they don't just turn up unannounced if they're outside London. They actually phone them up and then ask if they can come round. And of the people that they visited, apparently 80% of the people that they've gone to do compliance checks on, turns out it's a bogus or a failed sponsor. So
the sheer number of people that are coming fraudulently, I mean, what we do know is 146,000 of these visas were given out between February 22 and October 23. It could be, the way you're talking, a significant chunk of this could be bogus.
Indeed. I mean, one of the things in the report, it stated that there were 16 pages of sponsors all registered to the same address.
So what do we do?
Invest more in it, ramp up the compliance. Instead of having 50 people, perhaps 200-300 people, carry out spot checks, go round, weed out the people that are crooks.
And are we doing these spot checks? Are they actually happening?
A few, but hardly any. And I noticed from the Home Office's own response to the report that they said they've cancelled 170 sponsor licences. Given that there's 94,000 sponsor licences, it's a drop in the ocean, Nigel.
Well, I have to say, there is no area of this that I find satisfactory, and that, I'm afraid, does apply to the church. And it's not, of course, just the Church of England, it's Baptist ministers, it's many, many others. And, of course, we've had the appalling case of Abdul Azidi, and the reason that he was allowed to stay in the United Kingdom despite having committed previous sexual offences, and of course then went on to commit that pretty barbaric, or very barbaric, alkali attack in Clapham, was that, he was baptised by Roy Merrin, a Baptist minister. And if you look at your screens, you can see that baptism taking place. But David Neal himself, the former immigration inspector that's blown the whistle on all of this, has said that this is happening in ridiculous quantities. Hundreds of people saying we've come to Christianity, and that in many cases it simply isn't genuine. And I'm joined by Michael Nazarali, now a Catholic prelate, but of course my former bishop, when you were Bishop of Rochester. Look, I understand that the church, by its very nature, is an inclusive organisation. The doors, it isn't a private members club. The doors are open. But it does seem there is an extreme naivety in the number of people that are claiming to have moved from the Islamic religion to Christianity. Is it naivety? Is it stupidity? Or is it just what you have to do if you're a priest?
Yes, I think it's well meant. I mean, people need to be welcomed, as you were saying.
Yeah.
And very often these people come into contact with the church when they come to a food bank, for example, or to access social services or something like that. But when it comes to inquiries about faith and about conversion or baptism, now that the abuse has been revealed in the way that you were talking about, clergy need to be especially wary and to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves, as Jesus told us to be.
Yeah.
To determine, first of all, the immigration status of an asylum seeker, is it first claim, is it appeal? Particularly if the claim has been rejected and it is appeal, he's at that stage.
And that's quite common.
Yeah, that's quite common indeed. That's the time to be specially wary about it. Then also not to second guess what the Home Office has decided, because the Home Office may have information that the clergy are bound not to have. For instance, about previous conviction, as in this case, indeed.
Yeah.
Or involvement in extremism. Where the Home Office's tests are concerned about Bible knowledge and so on, I think this is a place where the churches and the Home Office may have some dialogue, so to make sure that these tests are reasonable and the knowledge that they're asking for can be compared to what cradle Christians might have, for instance. There is then the question about the tribunals. I mean, simply the fact of a reference from clergy is not enough in every case to turn the case.
No, that's absolutely right.
So, these tribunal judges have to exercise their own discretion in this matter about the extent to which something is credible.
It needs tightening up, there's no question. And I must, whilst you're here, it's Holy Week.
Yes.
It's the most important week of the year.
Indeed.
In the Christian calendar. And yet, I don't know, I don't see much public debate. I don't see much celebration of the fact that it's Easter. I think the BBC has been particularly criticised for a lack of religious programming. Are we just devaluing Christianity with every year that goes by?
Well, in the public space, I think that is true, but that's not true of the churches. I mean, I've been in Southwark Cathedral today.
Yep.
It was absolutely jam-packed, and it's just a weekday. I mean, it's a weekday in Holy Week,
yep.
And that will just grow. I mean, tomorrow is the Mass of the Lord's Supper, and I'll be expecting a full church.
Okay, so the churches are still healthy?
Well, they are full at this time anyway. Yes.
Well, one of those churchgoers, and of course a Catholic himself, is the presenter of the next show this evening on GB News. It is one Jacob Rees-Mogg. I think that point about Holy Week I just don't see much talk about it.
No, Quentin, that's an excellent piece in the Daily Mail today, pointing out the BBC is showing, I don't know, the Teletubbies rather than anything Christian on Good Friday. But I won't be broadcasting tomorrow at 8 o'clock, because 8 o'clock is the time of the Mass of the Last Supper, and I'm expecting none of my Catholic viewers to watch either, because they will all be at Mass.
Well, of course, there are lots of different religions.
There are indeed,
lots of different shades of Christianity. I will be here broadcasting tomorrow, no question about that.
But then you're finished by 8 o'clock, so you can rush round.
But I'm also still with his old church, you see. I haven't yet.
Yes, but they should be doing something.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're doing very much at all these days. Under the current Archbishop, I think they've rather given up, haven't they? And isn't that why you left them?
Well, what about you?
Well, no, you're the one with the collar on, not me.
No, but we all have our responsibility.
No, we do. I mean, I stick with the Church of England. I hope we're going to get another Archbishop soon and we'll turn things around, but I could well be wrong.